welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be the first episode of a new series that I'm going to be filming every couple of days. I'm calling it the Carousel of Champions. Now, if you're a Disney super fan, like me, then you might recognize that as a play on words for the old attraction, Disney's Carousel of Progress. I was really struggling with a name for this series. I knew that I wanted to pay homage to the parks, to the history of the parks, and then it just hit me. What better way to do that, to honor the parks and its history, than by naming it after one of the oldest and most popular attractions. Basically, I found an NCAA style bracket that lists all of the Disney movies. Each episode, I will be discussing 2 of the films that are pitted against each other. I have 5 questions that I will be asking for each film. Whichever film gets the most points based on that criteria will advance to the next round until we ultimately reach the middle and find the ultimate Disney movie. The 5 questions that I'm going to be asking for each film are 1, best villain, 2, best songs, 3, best animation, 4, best story, and 5, best main character. So we'll start with best villain. The villain in The Jungle Book, we have Shere Khan. For Peter Pan, we have Captain Hook. Now, I feel that Captain Hook, his reason for being evil isn't deep enough for me. I think he is just angry at Peter Pan because Peter Pan cut his hand off and fed it to the crocodile. He just wants revenge for that. Whereas Shere Khan wants to kill Mowgli because Shere Khan had a traumatic experience where he was chased and attacked by man's red flower, which is fire. So I feel like Shere Khan had a very traumatic experience and his vengeance is coming from a deeper, more emotional place. It's almost not even vengeance. He just is so afraid of it that he just wants to kill every man that he sees so that he never experiences that again. So I'm gonna give this point, best villain, to The Jungle Book and to Shere Khan. That's so hard for me because Peter Pan is one of my favorite movies. I feel like I'm gonna hit this speed bump with a lot of these videos because there's so many of my favorites that might not win up against movies that might not be my favorite. I have to remain as unbiased as possible. Question 2, best songs. For The Jungle Book, we have I Wanna Be Like You, Bare Necessities, and Trust in Me. Those 3 songs are so popular in the Disney universe. They're played at the park, people love them, they're very catchy, very upbeat. Well, Trust in Me is not that upbeat, but it's still a very popular song. As with Peter Pan, the only song that really ever sticks in my head personally is Second Star to the Right, which is played in the very beginning of the film. It's a beautiful song, total classic. There are other songs in the film. There's Following the Leader and the Mother song that Wendy sings to the Lost Boys, but they're not as catchy and they don't really stick in your head like Second Star to the Right. I believe that I am going to give this point to The Jungle Book as well. So far we have Jungle Book 2 points, Peter Pan 0 points, which breaks my heart. The third question is best animation. The funny thing about this category that's going to come up, I think, in a lot of these videos is that animation changes throughout time. So for instance, Peter Pan was made in 1953 and The Jungle Book was made in 1967. However, I feel that Peter Pan is better animated. It's a different style of animation. Peter Pan is much smoother looking and animation that we have today. Not quite, but just similar. It was hand painted and all of that. Whereas The Jungle Book, it almost looks like it was drawn with colored pencils. And I just don't really enjoy that kind of animation. I appreciate it for what it is, but I am going to give this point to Peter Pan. Question 4, best story. This is where it can get difficult. So the story of Peter Pan visits the Darling household and takes Wendy, John, and Michael to Neverland, where they have adventures, but then they ultimately realize that they are ready to grow up and they do miss their mother, and Neverland is not really for them. And I just feel like there's a lesson in that, like, you know, kids that don't want to grow up or want to be a kid forever, but then you realize, like, no, you know what? I do want to grow up and, you know, experience new things. There's a really nice scene towards the end with their father where he remembers seeing the pirate ship in the sky when he was a younger kid. And the funny part about that is throughout the whole movie, he's angry and hates that Wendy believes in Peter Pan and all of these childish things. And then towards the end, he realizes, like, wow, you know, like, I was a kid once, and, you know, maybe Wendy doesn't need to grow up so quickly. And then with The Jungle Book, the story is Mowgli was abandoned by humans and found by Bagheera the panther, brought to a family of wolves, and he was raised as a wolf. He wanted to live in the jungle, but with Shere Khan coming back into that area of the jungle, the wolves wanted to bring him back to the man village because they feared Shere Khan would stop at nothing to kill him, which was correct. So that story is pretty cut and dry for me. So it doesn't really have a lot of depth, unless I'm missing something. If Jungle Book is your favorite movie and you love the story and the message, let me know in the comments below if it's just going right over my head. But for me, the best story out of these two movies will have to be Peter Pan. So right now we are at a tie. 2 points Jungle Book, 2 points Peter Pan. With the 5th question, best main character. Whoever gets this is the winner. So the main character in Peter Pan is difficult to pinpoint. I want to say it's Peter Pan. He is the name of the movie. He's one of the main characters, but we also have Wendy. I think I'm gonna go with Peter Pan as the main character. So we have Peter Pan for Peter Pan. And then in the Jungle Book, the main character is Mowgli, who is a young man cub who was raised by wolves and wants to live in the jungle with Baloo and Bagheera. Despite Shere Khan being there, he does not want to go to the man village. I think this is very difficult for me because they're both great characters. I just love Peter Pan so much, but I don't want to pick him just because I love him so much. I think that he has a lot of growth throughout the film, whereas I don't feel Mowgli really has any growth until the very last minute when he sees the female carrying the bucket of water. And then suddenly he wants to go to the man village. Whereas Peter Pan, I feel like, he was very immature, didn't really have any responsibilities, and then he meets Wendy, who teaches him about mothers and family and friendships, and just makes him realize like, oh, maybe there is more to life than just being a kid and doing whatever you want. So I'm gonna give this to Peter Pan, which means we have a winner. Peter Pan will now be advancing into the next round, and in a future video, we'll be competing up against Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In the next video, I will be discussing 2 more films, and those films are Bambi versus The Sword in the Stone, which is going to be very interesting. They're 2 very different films. I'm very interested to see which film wins that one. I really hope that you enjoyed this series as much as I am enjoying making it. I'm getting to rewatch all of these old movies that I haven't seen in a very long time. If you have anything to say about any of the movies that I've discussed, any movies that I like, that I don't like, please let me know in the comments. If you like the same things or dislike different things than me, I would love to hear from you guys. So I hope that you enjoy this, and I will see you in the next one.